Hello, State Representative Dave Prestin. How are you, sir?
Doing real good. How about yourself?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. We haven't chatted in a while. We'll have to do so when you're in town again.
Absolutely.
Well, this quick interview here, Dave, is about an incident that you witnessed in Sault Ste. Marie. Talk with me. Just describe for our listeners what happened when you were at the prison there.
Well, Chippewa Correctional Facility is a massive correctional facility that houses everything from level 2 to level 5 prisoners. Level 5 being some of the most violent, level 2 being lower in the incarceration poll as far as propensity to violence, good behavior, things like that. And the corrections officer issue in our prison system statewide is at such a critical point that they are commingling level 5, level 4 with level 2 prisoners. A level 2 area detention facility is where the prisoners are allowed to roam freely. They bunk in congregate settings. They're able to go outside, in and outside as they wish. And we were standing, me, the warden, deputy director, and Byron Osborne, the corrections president. We were standing at the entrance of one of the level 2 facilities, and one of the corrections officers, he was having a conversation with an inmate that was upset at a routine pat-down, and the inmate struck the corrections officer on the right side of the face with a closed fist, and the corrections officer didn't lose consciousness but went down. Big melee ensued, and they got the prisoner under control. And during all the I'm a paramedic, so during all of the ruckus, I immediately went over, because at that time there was so much going on and so many moving pieces. I went over to the corrections officer and just did a quick assessment on him to make sure that he was okay, and he was, but he was shooken up. It was the first time that he had ever been assaulted at that facility. Earlier in that week, there was a murder within 2 prisoners that were bunking in the same cell, and there were two other assaults that had occurred at that very facility earlier in the week. We're looking at we're at a very, very dangerous tipping point in Michigan corrections throughout the state. The Jackson facility outside of Lansing is.
Yeah, Dave, Byron has been very, very blunt, and I'm glad you mentioned him, because he and I have talked about. He said the only thing that can really solve this situation, or at least tamp it down, is to bring in the National Guard. Do you concur?
Yes, absolutely, I agree. These corrections officers are in an unworkable situation, and the fact that their lives are literally at risk is causing, the retirement of corrections officers to accelerate. There is no work-life balance. Where they're at is a dead-end road, and you are putting people that have dedicated a good portion of their life towards this system in harm's way, literally where they have to fear for their life.
So, do you see this incident that you just described? When you keep putting these different levels of people in the same bedroom, the same cell, I guess you could say, or same block, do you see this accelerating and happening more and more, and to even worse ends for our officers?
Absolutely. So there's a level of incarceration called a segregation unit, and it used to be when they were staffed. That when an inmate would act out or assault someone else or otherwise act in bad behavior, that they would be put into a segregation unit, and that was kind of the consequences for their actions. Right now, the staffing crisis is so acute that a lot of the segregation units either have no staffing or are severely understaffed, which is forcing them to put these level 4, level 5, these high propensity to violence inmates in with general population, because they literally don't have the staff in the segregation units. And the inmates know this, that they're understaffed, so they're taking advantage of the situation, which is just exacerbating the violence from inmate to inmate as well as inmate to corrections officer. It's really an out-of-control loop that the director of corrections and the governor have chosen to just completely ignore.
Well, you mentioned the deputy director was right there with you when this happened. Did I get that right?
Yep.
And so what was the response then?
really no response. You can almost tell that administration is paralyzed by fear, probably afraid to speak out. Byron Osborne, the president of the Corrections Officers Association, I tip my hat to him because he has gone forward unafraid and has shined a light on the darkness that's occurring within our prisons. And this cannot continue.
State Representative Dave Prestin has been with us. Dave, I know we'll talk more about it. I know you have some legislation that you've been working on, and we'll see how things go, especially when the election is over here in November.
Nice talking to you, Jack.